welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. This is where we take a fresh look at ourselves and the world around us. I'm Debbie Georgiani along with Jerry Escher, and hopefully you, because when your participation is key to this successful broadcast. Jerry, I just realized while I was waiting to come on the air why I'm so excited today. Would you like to know why? Full of energy. I'm full of energy.
Because it's the end of the month?
Right, close. Hint, hint. It's the last day to sign up for the Stand Tall retreat, the very last day. And then we close registration. Tomorrow we'll send out the welcome emails to all the retreatants. We have a large number going with us. So if you would like to jump on, you waited till the very last minute. But, going according to today's topic, better late than never that you showed up. You go to jerryanddebbie.com. See the retreat agenda there, and hopefully you can register. And then we close tonight, Jerry, and we begin the whole entire retreat experience.
Yeah, it's February 9th through 11th, so it's coming right up in Cullman, Alabama, Cullman, right near Birmingham, right near Irondale. So you would, if you're coming from out of the area, as a lot of people are, we have people coming from Canada, Minnesota, Virginia, all over the place. You would fly into Birmingham, or you can drive if you're close enough to drive. And we will be at St. Bernard Abbey. It's a beautiful Benedictine Abbey. Liturgical services. We're going to go to the Shrine of the Most Blessed Sacrament, where Mother Angelica was laid to rest, of course, and have a beautiful prayer and healing service there. Give you a chance to visit the enormous gift shop there and get some religious articles. And Debbie and I will just will give a few little presentations, and all the meals are included, and just so much more. So looking forward to it.
That gift shop is like the IKEA or Costco of gift shops.
It is.
Do you remember when I told you when I walked in, I said, Jerry, I'm overwhelmed. I couldn't make a decision. I
almost took your credit card away from you.
You did. I know. just you were trying to be a good buddy to Marty. I know you were. But I did.
That's right.
I did leave there spending quite a bit of money, but it was all spiritual gifts, so well worth it, wouldn't you say?
I would. I would. So again, jerryanddebbie.com, last day for you to register for the Stand Tall Retreat in Cullman, Alabama, February 9th through the 11th. And you alluded to today's topic, which I'm really looking forward to hearing, some of the sayings, the maxims, some of the rules that our listeners try and live by to make themselves better.
Yeah, what's your favorite motto? Something that you live by. For me, I'm just one giant walking maxim. I love those adages, those truisms that we hear. My mother was the queen of it. She constantly would say to us, what goes around comes around. Just remember, what goes around comes around. And sure enough, after 50 plus years, she was right, because what goes around comes around. There's so many sayings, and some are more motivational than others. Some are even quotes or sayings from saints. Like, for instance, Jerry, you asked me what was one of my favorite. It's from St. Ambrose. No one heals himself by wounding another. I love that. No one heals himself by wounding another. And so I guess you could use quotes or adages or anything like that. But Jerry, you listed some really fabulous ones on our on the Take Two website. And I love them. I don't know where you found them, but I think they were just so perfect for today to tie into our spirituality.
Yeah, and again, the phone number for you to call in and let us know if there's a maxim, an adage, a slogan, a phrase that really is impactful for you. It's kind of, you go back to it time and time again just to give you that inspiration, that motivation, that hope, that courage, that confidence. 1-800-585-9396. 1-800-585-9396. Debbie mentioned, I found that there are thousands, probably millions of them throughout time, and the internet, of course, is full of them. So a few that I posted on the Take2Show.com website. Life does not have to be perfect to be wonderful. I like that, and that's kind of fits in with the whole theme of Stand Tall. We may have been through a lot of stuff in life. In fact, life is never going to be perfect, but it can still be wonderful. Right. One that you appreciate, Debbie, self-care. Yes. Self-care is not selfish. You cannot serve from an empty vessel.
Oh,
what do you think?
I think that one is truly powerful. I definitely want to adopt that one. And the other one that you listed, Jerry, that I really, I just feel so drawn to is it says, don't downgrade your dream just to fit your reality. Upgrade your conviction to match your destiny. Oh, Jerry, that is music to my ears. Those were great ones you picked.
Well, and one of my favorite personalities of all time is the late great John Wooden, who coached UCLA men's basketball to many, many national championships, and he had so many great little maxims and sayings, and I looked some of those up online, and he says one here is this is good for today's world. He says, "Be quick, but don't hurry."
Oh, be quick.
Be quick,
but don't hurry.
But don't hurry. There's another one. Where was the other one here?
Wow.
Do not let what you cannot do interfere with what you can do.
Oh,
I like that.
That is really good. And then Jeff Burson, our social media expert, he put a meme up that had a lot more of the maxims. They're very wise as well. So I hope our listeners go to take2show.com and check it out. But Jerry, what is your personal motto, your personal favorite, that your go-to kind of saying or adage that you resonate with?
Well, actually, to be honest with you, I don't know if I've had one exactly, specific one. I think these ones that I posted on the take2show.com website, really resonate with me. But maybe if it's a maxim, I don't know if it's a maxim or not, but I love the wreckage that is me, or it could be something like love your wreckage or embrace your wreckage, because every one of us has, a few little missing parts and, wounds and scars and all of that. But God can take something and make something very, very beautiful out of that. So as you like to point out, I say that all the time on the show. I love the wreckage that is me.
Did you come up with that, or did you find that somewhere?
I had never heard it elsewhere. Maybe somebody has, but...
Okay, then we know what we need to do. We need to post it and put Jerry Usher underneath it so that it can become yours.
Yeah, right.
But you're letting us borrow it, right? You're letting us borrow it. I said it already. I know it's crazy. It may not be motivational, but I do live by what goes around comes around. And I just think it's so true. You wait. My mother used to say, you wait long enough, things will come circling around, and they sure do. So what's your motto? What's your favorite maxim? What do you live by? What's your go-to adage that just always proves right in your life? We want to hear from you. 1-800-585-9396. We'll be right back going to the phones.
Father Mitch Pacwa.
Sin does not unite people, doesn't bring them together. Sin causes division and divides people up.
The leading Catholic voices are on EWTN Radio.
Renew your faith, renew your spirit, and receive the most precious gift of time with our Lord. Stand Tall, an unforgettable retreat, is coming to the St. Bernard Abbey in Cullman, Alabama, February 9th through 11th. Join Take-Two's own Jerry Usher and Debbie Georgianni for a spirit-filled weekend, including a visit to the Shrine of the Most Blessed Sacrament, Mass with the Benedictine monks, an evening campfire celebration, and talks by Jerry and Debbie. Space is limited, so register today at jerryanddebbie.com.
Have you heard about Church Pop? Church Pop features new online Christian content that's fun and inspiring every day. Find it on Snapchat, Instagram, and on the web at churchpop.com.
The Reason for Our Hope with Father Larry Richards.
I've been ordained 18 years by God's grace, and I've dealt with a lot of people as they're dying. And some people are very afraid. Fear of death is the number one fear. That what fear of death does is makes us slaves. When you sin, you're fighting against death. You don't want to die to yourself. So if it's a sexual temptation, you give into it. Why? Because I don't want to die to myself. If it's a temptation to greed, you give into it. Why? Because I don't want to die to myself. If it's a temptation to gluttony, you give into it. Why? Because I don't want to die to myself. So what happens is this fear of death makes us slaves. And we keep stuck in the slavery. Again, Jesus says, anyone who sins is a slave to sin. And so you can either decide to spend your life in slavery or spend your life in freedom.
Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on EWTN Radio. Thanks to our show team, Rich, Matt, Jeff, everybody else at EWTN. Thank you to the affiliates for airing the show, and thanks to you. And Debbie, we have great participation lined up here already on the phones. When we clear up a line, it's 1-800-585-9396. Talking about maxims, adages. And Debbie, so many of these are not overtly or maybe intended to be Christian or spiritual or what have you, but I find that there are so many of them that it's just a very, very simple transition to applying them to our lives of faith and following God.
Well, you can relate a lot of them to Scripture. They actually are, I think, probably derived from Scripture. Wouldn't you say that a lot of them?
Many are, yeah.
Yeah. So absolutely, this will totally relate to our faith journey. So we want to go right to the phones. When a phone line becomes open, because they're all full right now, please jump in. Don't wait till the last minute. You know how Jerry and I, it just totally drives us crazy if we leave you on the line. 1-800-585-9396. Okay, who got our First Up award? That would be in Cleveland, Ohio, listening on the Rock. It's Pat. Hi, Pat. Welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Hi, Jerry. Hi, Debbie.
Hey,
Hi.
Pat, how are you?
Yeah, so I'm listening on 1260 The Rock, like I said, and the line that I think of a lot is, what is good is good. Because if anything is truly good for one person, it's truly good for everyone in the world, because there's only one God.
Right.
I love it.
So if I think something might be good for me and it's going to be bad for someone else, then it's not really good for anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
You're
Yeah,
kind of a black and white kind of person, aren't you, Pat? You're like a straight, just kind of straight shooter, right?
Yeah, you know what? I think some people are black and white, some are shades of gray. I think God made the world in living color, but He made everything the way it is.
Yeah, very true.
Well, you just coined a new maxim, too. Some people are black and white, some people are gray, and God painted the world in living color. Just came up with a new one. Well, I love this concept, though, Pat, because, we talk about God being, good, whatever is true, whatever is beautiful. I think St. Paul has a line, something like that, in one of his letters, and this is so very right. And yet, Pat, what do we do about, so many people in the world don't know what is good for them, or they may think something is good for them and it is not. So with the relativism, it's kind of a tough chore we have, wouldn't you say, Pat, to kind of apply your maxim or get people to see it the way you do?
It's actually an easier way to live life than trying to figure out, because if you know that something is really going to be bad for your kids or for your spouse or for your church, then it's not going to be good for you either.
Right. Exactly.
I love it.
Yeah. Good wisdom. Thank you, Pat. Thanks for getting us started here. Yeah, God bless you too.
And tell the folks at the Rock we said hello.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
That line is open at 800-585-9396. Maxims that we live by. Let's see. Who is next?
Joseph? I thought it was
Joseph. Yeah, Joseph is next. In Port Colbert, Ontario, listening on the Station of the Cross to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Hi, Joseph.
Hi, Jerry and Debbie. Thank you very much for taking my call.
Sure.
My father passed away about 13 years ago, and he used to live by a saying, and that is, if you worry, you're praying to the wrong God. And I've always lived by that myself. I think it's a very wise set of words. I don't know if it's scriptural. I don't know where it came from. But I find it kind of wise, and I think it's good words to live by.
Wow, your father was full of wisdom. What was his first name?
Gerard.
Oh, Gerard. There you go, Jerry.
Same as my legal name, and Debbie's husband's middle name is Gerard, too. So.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, this makes perfect sense, Joseph, because, you said you didn't really know the origin of it, but we can trace it. As Debbie said earlier, almost all of these can be tied into Scripture and the faith. And how many times does the Bible tell? What is it, 365 times? Says, be not afraid.
Not afraid.
And
don't worry.
One of your favorites, Debbie, St. Padre Pio, what does he say?
Pray, hope, and don't worry. That's Padre Pio's motto. Yeah, I think your dad was right on, Joseph, and I think that's so important. And you know what? That's the kind of adage we need to focus on and meditate on and remember before we enter into situations in life, because sometimes we can just get caught up in the worries of the day, and that's not what God wants us to do. I think that was a great call, and I added your dad, Gerard, to our book because we pray for the living and the deceased. So thank you, Joseph.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thanks, Joseph. Good to hear from you.
Have a great day.
You too. From Joseph, which, by the way, is my middle name. From Joseph to Joey. Joey is in Dallas, Texas, listening, of course, on Guadalupe Radio. Hi, Joey. Thanks for calling Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Yeah, I knew I'd be confused. Joseph, then Joey. Somebody said Jerry, and I started talking, so apologies. So I am a former teacher, and now I'm in tutoring and trying to start my own business here in Dallas. And quotes, like Debbie, I am just like you. I am a walking Maxim. I'm a storehouse of random quotes. And so I've used so many of them in the 8 years I've been teaching. And the one that I told the screener, although if you have time, I have so many, I wanted to say I'm not able to catch this show often in the middle of the day, but I guarantee with such a great concept and idea of a show, you just earned a new listener. I absolutely love this idea because just in the course of waiting, I was so engaged with the calls that you had. Such amazing, insightful, and deep quotes. I'm sure you're familiar with the term laconic.
Yes, I couldn't give you the definition off the top of my head, but I'm familiar with it, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I could. It's named after Lacedaemon, the state of Sparta, where the city-state of Sparta was, and they had a reputation for being pithy, but being deep. And one time, I believe Alexander the Great's father was trying to threaten them, and he sent a letter and said, if I march into Sparta, we will despoil your land and enslave your children, et cetera, et cetera. And the Spartans' only reply was, if.
If, yeah.
But as I wanted to say was Dum Spiro Spero is my favorite quote. I use a lot of Latin with my students, and Dum Spiro Spero means as I breathe, I hope.
Oh, I love that.
I like
that,
yeah.
As I breathe, I hope.
Dum Spiro Spero. So long as I have breath, I'm hopeful, is how I've translated it. And I've got a lot of students absolutely love it. I like to use call and response in my classes. I love a crowd. And I took the quote, non scholae sed vitae discamus, which is not for school, but for life we are learning, or we should learn, and made it a call and response. When I would say, needed the class's attention, I would say, sed vitae, and the students would all respond discamus, and we would engage in the lesson. I absolutely love, and there's such a depth. Debbie, do you like any Latin quotes, or Jerry either?
I do. I can't. I wouldn't be able to quote them right offhand right now, but I do. I love. Jerry, the ones from John Paul II, any of his that he had, and I love the Benedictines quotes on
yes.
work and
Ora
work
et labora.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
thank you, Jerry.
Yeah, well, Latin lends itself perfectly to that, to Joey, as you're pointing out, because it is such a beautiful, rich language, and you can say a lot actually in just a few words in Latin.
It has that depth, yeah. The gravitas. It'll stick in your brain, That's why I've used it with students and absolutely loved it. How about, and I wish I knew this one by heart, but it's St. Augustine's my patron saint. And in a yearbook one day, a couple of years back, a student had been working on a research paper based on Augustine's concept of time and morality or something. And under my guidance, and she was just so brilliant. And in my yearbook, she wrote, when I was researching Augustine, I came across this quote, and it just made me think of you and, the way you treat people every day. And it's since we cannot do good for all. Do either of you know that one from St. Augustine?
I have not heard that one, no.
I don't. I haven't heard that.
Oh, well, I'll poorly paraphrase it, and maybe one of the next callers, if they're all Maxim junkies like me, maybe they can correct it. But it's since we cannot do good for all, we must pay special attention to those who, by time, circumstance, such and such, God has placed in our trust.
Wow. Oh, nice. The one I always quote, of course, from St. Augustine is, our hearts are restless until they rest in you. That's always a big one for me.
I've seen that on a couple of nice T-shirts down in College Station.
Nice. Great work you're doing.
Great stuff, Joey. Yeah, one of the other ones I posted on the
bless
Take
y'all.
Two Show website was, one of the other ones I posted was, be loyal to those who are not present. In doing so, you will earn the trust of those who are present.
So no gossiping.
Lots of great wisdom out there.
Right?
Thanks, Joey.
Thanks,
Keep
Joey.
up the great work,
yes.
tutoring and all of that.
Yes.
Yeah,
I was just
And
going to say that.
Great contribution to the show from Joey in Dallas.
Yep. We got a lot of men callers today. This is awesome. Way to go, guys. This is great. Okay, next up is Robert in Erie, Pennsylvania, listening on the Station of the Cross. Hi, Robert. Welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Hi, good morning.
Hey, Robert.
I'm doing well. How about yourselves?
Doing great. Thank you.
Awesome. Sounds like you guys are. Hey, I just happened to come across your station. I was just looking to change the channel and heard conversation, and I like that sort of, like talk radio kind of thing. So I ended up on your station and listening, and I got some to contribute for your little sayings that we use.
Okay.
One of them, a couple of them that I've been using, especially in the last 9 years, and just to kind of give you a little bit quick background, it's been 9 years since my now ex-wife told me that she no longer wanted to be together. So a couple of things that's kind of helped me just persevere, really, and that I also use for other people to encourage them is that, keep the faith, keep on smiling. And that's one of those. And the other thing is, keep on keeping on. That's just kind of, I said that even before all that happened 9 years ago. But it's, go ahead.
I have to tell you, Robert, I love that keep on keeping on. I just love it. Even just saying it gives you that sense that you can just have that encouragement, that energy to keep moving forward. I've always felt that way. I'm so glad you highlighted that today. There was no accident that you called in. What do you think? Have you heard that before, Jerry? You have.
Oh, yeah. I think there was a movie by that title, and there have been songs titled that as well. And you know what, Robert, it reminds me of is I remember somebody told me one time, whenever we're going through a challenging time, we're discouraged, we don't think we can keep on keeping on. They called it like prayers of the feet. You may not see where you're going, but every step is like another prayer. Like, I'm just going to continue along. I'm going to keep on keeping on. I'm going to take that next step and trust that God is there and he's got a plan and he knows where he's leading me. So I think this one definitely ties right into a spiritual adage, if you will.
Yeah. And then again, right along with that is that keep the faith, keep on smiling. Because and that kind of gives you a sense too where your smile comes from. It's more of an intrinsic smile because it's coming from faith from God.
Right.
Or faith in God, but that notion is coming from God.
Nice. Robert, you're a strong man. I love your spirituality. I think that's awesome. Thank you so much for contributing today. It was a big contribution, and we're glad you just happened to kind of stumble onto this show, and we hope you become a total regular listener. We would love that.
Thank you, Robert, for the call. 1-800-585-9396. Take Two with Jerry and Debbie is the show. You drive with your calls and your takes. And today we have just asked you, are there any maxims, adages, slogans, phrases, inspirational, motivational, that you like to turn to and that kind of maybe help you keep on keeping on? We're going to listen to what Tim has to say next. Our good friend Tim in Findlay, Ohio. Hi, Tim. You're watching us on Facebook Live, so welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Hi, Tim.
How you guys doing?
Great. Always love to hear from you.
Yeah, I enjoy listening to you guys.
Thank you.
I got two.
Okay.
One is actually from a movie, Kelly's Heroes. Quote from Donald Sutherland's character Oddball, where he's responding to one of his tank crew members, and he goes, "Don't hit me with these negative waves this early in the morning. Just think that bridge will be there, and it'll be there. It's a mother beautiful bridge, and it's going to be there." That's my axiom for thinking positive.
Yeah.
And then the other I created for a class, for an interpersonal communications class. And it's basically, I want to be a servant leader. I want to help and serve others the way others have helped and served me.
Love it.
Yeah, that's very profound. But I mean, if we all had that attitude, Debbie, just think, it's it's that giving back. Because nobody comes into this world and makes it through the world without the help and guidance and support and mentoring and tutoring and all of that of so many other people who form us to be the people that we are. And, it's not for us to keep, it's for us to give away. So I love what Tim said about that.
Oh, I do as well. Tim, it's always a pleasure when you call in. You're always imparting something, whether it be on the Facebook chats or when you call in. So thank you so much for your contribution. We really value it, and we just enjoy your spirit. So thank you so very, very much. And Kelly's Heroes, that's one of my husband's favorite movies. So
is that right?
Yeah. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you, Tim, very, very much for the call. Josh and Brian and John and Steve and another Tim. We're going to get to all of you talking about spiritual, motivational, inspirational maxims today. You're teaching us. You're giving us a lot of things to think about. 1-800-585-9396. While that line is open, it could be yours. It's got your name on it.
Most men will do almost anything to avoid deep theological discussions. Well, you don't need a doctorate in theology to listen to and enjoy the Catholic Cafe. Join me, Deacon Jeff Drzymski, along with my trusty sidekick Tom Dorian, as we try and make manly sense out of living the Catholic faith.
The Catholic Cafe, Saturdays at 4 p.m. Eastern and Sundays at 5 a.m. Eastern on EWTN Radio. Live truth, live Catholic.
Hi, I'm Doug Keck. This is an EWTN bookmark brief. Joseph Pierce is our guest. The book is Death Comes for the War Poets, a verse tapestry. What is this tapestry you're weaving?
Well, it's a play that's based upon the life and conversion of Siegfried Sassoon, who's one of the great literary converts of the 20th century that I wrote about in my book of that title, Literary Converts. The play basically charts his conversion, but what I find dynamic about it is there's a third character, and that's a female spirit called Death. And I think what the play does at the deepest level is look at the extent to which religious faith changes our understanding of death, so that death herself, in this case, can be also converted. So you have the conversion of death. As Siegfried Sassoon grows in his faith, he sees death herself as something different.
Thank you so much. Joe Pierce, author of Death Comes for the War Poets, available through the EWTN Religious Catalog, of course. This has been an EWTN Bookmark Brief. I'm Doug Keck.
Catholic radio, I believe, is the greatest tool for evangelization that the church has today. And I know this because we hear from people all over the world that tell us all the time they came to faith in Christ, in the Catholic Church, through Catholic radio. Guy that lives right next door to you, he might not ask you about your Catholic faith, but he'll ask us. He'll call in and say, tell me about the Catholic Church.
Dr. David Anders thinks Catholic radio is important. So should you.
Back to the phones we shall go. But Jerry, before we do, we have some social media comments that are coming in with Latin phrases. You're going to have to do that, Jerry. That's in your seminary training. That's where I have to sit this out.
Well, there's the one, I think it's Veni Vidi Vici, I came, right. I saw, I conquered. Matt, he sent this in, I'm not sure what forum he was watching or listening on, but Matt, thank you. It says, Veni Vidi Deus Vicit. I came, I saw, God conquered. Ooh. And apparently that is attributed to John Sobieski III. Let's see. Michael on YouTube. We are one day closer to the joy of everlasting life. Thank you very, very much. And Maria says, treat others the way you want to be treated with the fruits of the Holy Spirit. Mm-hmm. And it just says Monk here, Monk on YouTube. Silence brings a symphony of praise.
Oh, wow.
So, some good stuff. We'll get to some more of those as well.
Fabulous. Yeah. Look at the phone lines. This looks like a Christmas tree in the end of January. I can't believe it. This is awesome. Okay, so up next is Tim in Washington, D.C., listening on Guadalupe Radio Network. Hi, Tim. Welcome to Take Two.
Hi, how are you?
Doing well, Tim. How are you?
Great. So I heard you mention St. Pio earlier, and he's just got endless great quotes, and this one is a little similar to the one that you mentioned, but it's, don't spend your energies on things that generate worry, anxiety, and anguish, Only one thing is necessary. Lift up your spirit and love God.
I love it.
He was big on not worrying, Debbie.
Yeah, I've read a lot about him, Tim, and maybe you could correct me if I'm wrong on this, but he spent so many hours in the confessionals and hearing people's confessions and how people were bringing to him anxiety and worry and all these feelings that they were trying to overcome because they couldn't really live out their full purpose, and they couldn't even kind of explore their spirituality because they were stuck, they were paralyzed. And I think in his own life, he went through so much. And so he felt a strong, if I may say this, a strong mission to help others, to get them to lift those worries, lift those anxieties. Would you agree with that, Tim?
Absolutely. I mean, I can't even imagine what he went through and the suffering, the stigmata, and then to have people constantly hounding him to tell him that, oh, you must be putting iodine, you must be causing the wounds, you must be doing this to yourself. Amazing. But as far as the confession goes, you're right. There would be lines for hours of people that wanted to have him hear their confession. But he also had the gift that if they were holding back, he might get a little angry and send them away and say, when you're ready to really tell the truth and say everything that there is to say, come back. But I know you're holding back. Pretty amazing.
Right. I know. And I've read it once that that other folks could actually hear him raising his voice, expelling people from the confessional until they really completely, told all of their sins. And that I was sharing one time with Jerry on the show, Tim, about a year ago. I said that would make me I would be like shaking before I went into the confessional.
I've always wondered.
There were some folks that would come in and perhaps they did forget something. They weren't holding back. And sometimes he would very kindly just say to them, well, what about this? And did you forget about that? And he would help them along. But for people that maybe were dubious or were even potentially challenging him, of course, he had no time or patience for that, and he would send them away. So,
right.
Just amazing.
Yeah, I've heard that too, where he would say to people like, okay, there's something else. Is there something else maybe? And you know what the thing is, I've always heard about these great, confessors who had these spiritual, mystical gifts, and people would flock to them for confession. And Debbie, I just think if it were me, I'd run as far away as I could.
Yeah,
I could. I'm such a chicken,
I want to go to the priest who is hard of hearing. But knowing,
I actually love going to confession, and if I happen to be at the shrine in D.C. and I see that one's a Catholic, and I'll go to him just because I'm also asking St. Pio for help at the time to not forget anything, and to, if I've done something really stupid, to have the courage to just say that as plainly as possible.
Wow.
Good.
That's awesome.
Well, you've got,
Tim.
Tim, that is a great spiritual practice, one that we can all learn from, because let's face it, we go into confession and it's a moment of self-accusation, but it's also the fountain of mercy, and we need not hold anything back. And so, Tim, you've got a great routine there, and thanks for inspiring us with your take here on the program. We appreciate it so much. Go over to Josh next. Josh is in Kentucky, listening on the EWTN app. Hi, Josh. Welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Good, Josh. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing all right, man. I got two, really, that I try to stick to that I think kind of go together. And one of them, and I've always heard this since I was a younger kid, was, speak softly and carry a big stick. And I don't try to look at that in so much an aggressive way, but in a way that sometimes, less words are better. Maybe, take time to think before you speak and, just kind of keep some ammunition behind you in an argument or anything like that. Sometimes it's better to just be quiet. And my other one I try to go by is always to let a cooler head prevail, because, everybody gets angry and everybody's got a different temperament. Some people's got bad tempers, but, you're never really thinking right when you're angry, and you can say things you don't mean and make something worse. So thing I always try to remember is to let a cooler head prevail, and always, think before you speak, and let yourself calm down before you ever act on anything, and normally make a lot smarter decisions that way.
Well, I'm chuckling, Josh, because I have made this mistake so many times in my own life, and I have reached a point, Debbie, I don't know if you do this, but when I'm in maybe not an angry or upset mood, but sort of a tense situation with somebody and corresponding with them maybe via email, or I have something that I want to tweet or do something on social media, I'll compose it and I'll reread it. And I'll reread it. Maybe I'll sit on it for a while, just to kind of let myself, come to a better place. Because as Josh is pointing out, especially, you can never take back a word that you speak, ever.
Right.
It's been spoken, and it can never be erased. If you say something wrong, it can be forgiven, certainly.
It's really a weapon, yeah.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
I just want to know something, Josh. Please forgive me, because I don't know why I have this quirky sense of humor. But how could, with your voice, because you have a beautiful, guess it's a Kentucky accent, how could you ever get angry? I mean, I could never. Your voice is so rhythmic.
Well, it can get a little bit louder, I reckon.
Really? So do you lose the accent when you get angry? Because I get in a New Jersey accent when I get angry. Do you lose the accent when you get angry? I'm just curious.
No, actually, the more upset I get, the thicker it gets. And the thing is, I travel for work, so if I were to get anywhere up north around, certain people, if I get upset, it's kind of a good thing because it gets thicker and they really can't tell what I'm saying half the time anyway.
I love it. That is awesome. Well, you have a great voice. I love it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it very much.
Thanks, Josh. Good to hear from you. 1-800-585-9396, talking about Maxims today. On Facebook Live, Grace says, I will call her beloved who was not beloved. Interesting. Maybe a lesson in loving those who may not seem lovable. I will call her beloved who is not beloved. I'm not sure what the source of that is. Grace didn't source it there for us. Arthur says, God is going to bless your life. Are you ready?
I love that. Oh, I love that. Okay, I'm going to use that one.
Yeah, and Steve says, let your conscience be your guide. He says that was my dad's only advice. Let your conscience be your guide.
My dad used to say that as well. Yeah. That's see, this is powerful. This is a catechetical hour that we're spending with one another, because we are going to be a little bit changed, a little bit closer to God. Okay, back to the phones. Brian in Niagara Falls, New York, listening on the Station of the Cross. Hi, Brian. Welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Hi, Debbie. Hi, Jerry. Love your program. I'm a frequent listener.
Thank you, Brian.
And I have a quote. I am 60, and I found this at a house sale when I was in my teens. I bought this wooden plaque. It's by Henry Drummond, and I don't know if I'm going to get this correct completely from memory, but it goes something like, I shall pass this way but once. Any kindness I can show or any good that I can do for others, let me not defer it till tomorrow, for I shall not pass this way again.
Yeah. What it reminds me of, Debbie, is you always say, if you're feeling prompted by the Holy Spirit to call the program, call in, because what you have to share is going to be inspiring and educational and change people's hearts and lives. And that's really kind of what this Maxim is about. If you have that moment, strike while the moment is there, because, again, the opportunity may not present itself again.
True, and especially if you're in that moment where you can make a difference. It can be a positive thing, and sometimes a little bit of fear holds you back, and then that moment passes, and it's really unfortunate. Now, the good Lord knows that. He knows our human nature, so of course, I would hope that our good Lord gives us many chances to be that person, be that Christ in the situation. But Brian, that is really helpful, and thank you so much. I actually wrote it down, and it sounds like you have it on that plaque. And you know how I feel about that. If you're a regular listener, you know that I love putting up statements and scripture passages in our cars, in our homes, in our bathrooms, they're everywhere in my house. Because why? Because when you're washing your hands, what are you doing? You might be looking around. You can pick up a verse and you can meditate on it. Brian, I just love that. I think it's very powerful.
I have another one, too, that I got from my wife's niece, so if I can share that one, too. For the bathroom, wash your hands and say your prayers, because Jesus and germs are everywhere.
Okay, that's a good one.
Well, Debbie, you can relate to that, right?
I'm a germaphobe.
She's a self-described germaphobe, yeah.
I love it, Brian. That is awesome. Thank you so very, very much. Wow.
Thanks,
good.
Brian.
Okay.
Always good to hear from folks listening on the Station of the Cross.
Can I just put a challenge out there? I want to put a challenge out there to anybody listening right now. If you just want to spread the word about EWTN, what the wonderful work EWTN is doing on radio and television, please, would you consider using your voice and being a media missionary? You'll be out in the communities, totally getting people excited about EWTN, raising awareness and support for this wonderful ministry that is worldwide. It is the biggest, and we want to keep it going. So if you want to be a media missionary, like I'm going to say, like Jerry says, I always say it, if you're prompted by the Spirit, then visit EWTNmissionaries.com today and join us in sharing the eternal word with the world.
All right, back to your phone calls. Take two with Jerry and Debbie, talking today about motivational maxims, inspirational adages and phrases. John has one for us in Boston, another Station of the Cross listener. Hi, John. You're on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Welcome.
Hi there. How you doing today?
Great, John. Appreciate the call.
So my saying here is, this too shall pass, which I think, probably applies to a lot of people. But as I've internalized it for, distressful situations, it kind of comes up in my heart for positive and happy situations as my children make it through their teenage years. And, you're enjoying a time or an event with your family and you realize, wait a minute, I need to savor this moment because this too shall pass. So it kind of reminds me to take it all in and just enjoy the good times as well.
Interesting. Yeah, I love that positive spin on that because I think anytime I've ever heard this or reflected on it, Debbie, it's always been, like John said, maybe
to
just sort of, the thought to get through the difficulties. But yeah, that's a great little twist on that.
Yeah, you flipped it, John, and I love that you appreciate every moment. John, I have a girlfriend that for years, I'm talking 20, 25 years, anytime anything would hit me that was of a difficult nature, she would say, this too shall pass. And I used to get so aggravated. And I found myself after a couple years, I thought, she has got a point. It's how we view things. And I love that adage. And I do believe that if we look at it both ways, it'll keep us in that place where we can appreciate every moment and also be patient for those moments that we really want them to be in our past. Be patient and kind of just get through it. And so I think that was very profound today, John. Thank you so much for waiting online. You waited a long time, but it was important. So good things.
All right. Well, thanks. Have a great day.
Have a blessed day. We had an email, take two at EWTN.com. And this email is, there's no name on it, but the email address, I'm not going to give all of it, but part of it is Pater Sam. So maybe it's a priest, Father. If it is Father Sam, I don't know, maybe it's not. But it says, love is most needed where it is least deserved. Love is most needed where it is least deserved. Does that describe God's approach to us, Debbie, or what?
Yeah, I would think so. That's like a heavy dose of being merciful.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
That's good. I wonder if that was from clergy.
Be neat if it was, yeah.
It sounds like we needed that. That was a good one. Okay, we have time. We have time, Jerry.
Oh, yeah,
I love
we have a lot
that.
of time left.
Steve in Spencer, Massachusetts. Hi, Steve. Welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Hi, Steve.
Oh, me?
Yeah. Hi, Steve. Welcome.
Howdy, Steve.
Hi. That you actually quoted me earlier with the referring to prayer. Silence sings a symphony of praise.
Oh, okay, good.
And if you don't mind, I lived for about a year and a half with the Trappists up here in Spencer, Mass, and there was a very good brother there, probably the most saintly individual I ever encountered. And this is something that I believe we can apply to our lives when we, maybe don't want to get out of bed. A monk is always a little bit cold, a little bit tired, and a little bit hungry.
I love it. I'm going to repeat that, Steve, too. A monk is always a little bit cold, a little bit tired, and a little bit hungry. And like Steve said,
I did a show on having trouble getting out of bed maybe a week or so ago. I tried to call in then with that, but
right. Yeah, well, like you said, Steve. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Would you mind if I read just a brief passage, well, brief enough, from Thomas à Kempis, The Imitation of Christ?
Yeah, if it's real brief. We've got jammed phone lines here, Steve, so go ahead.
Okay. Because I am but weak in love and imperfect in virtue, therefore do I stand in need of being strengthened and comforted by thee. For this reason visit me often and instruct me in thy holy discipline. Free me from evil passions and heal my heart of all disorderly affections, that being healed and well purified in my interior, I may be fit to love, courageous to suffer, and constant to persevere. For thou art my glory and the joy of my heart.
That's beautiful, and anything in the Imitation of Christ is absolutely highly recommendable, and I'm sure it's probably in the EWTN Religious Catalog. So that is, again, Thomas à Kempis, one of the most read books of all time after the Bible. And again, it's called The Imitation of Christ. Steve, thank you for bringing that to our attention. And I would encourage anyone who would like to investigate a copy of that to go to EWTNRC.com. I'm not certain that it's there, but I have to believe it almost certainly is. So, Steve, thank you. Thank you very much for sharing your maxims with us today on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Ginger is next in Winchester, Virginia, listening on Guadalupe Radio. Hello, Ginger. Welcome to our program today.
Oh, thank you very much.
Certainly.
I've been enjoying all these maxims people are calling in with. They're wonderful. And one I'd like to share is one my mother used to tell me, and I'm now in my 70s, so I've been living by it, is don't make decisions when you're upset. Wait until you've calmed down, and if you still want to make the decision, then go ahead. But not until then.
Wow. Ginger, your mother was a life skills coach, because that's actually one of the life skills trainings. They actually tell you not to make decisions, especially very important decisions when you're upset, because you can't do the pros and cons the right way. You can't make really sound decisions. You're making them out of emotion, and a lot of times it comes with all its baggage. And so your mother was very, very full of wisdom.
Yeah, she really was, and I can't tell you how many times I've listened to her voice telling me that, and stopped me from doing something rash.
Yeah, well, wisdom is imparted to us. What we do with that wisdom is up to us, but it sounds like, Ginger, you were able to put the brakes on at the proper times, and you learn. You listen to your mother, and you learn from her, and it's a very, very valuable lesson. Again, as we were talking about before, we can say things, we can type things, we can put things out on social media that we can never, it's not like you don't have a fishing pole and you can reel those things in. Once they're out there, they're always out there. So, Ginger, thank you. Thank you very much for joining us here on the program today. We appreciate that. Debbie, you know our good friend Helen in Idaho. She emailed and said, Hi, Debbie and Jerry. Debbie, she put Debbie first.
Oh, thank you, Helen.
She says, from my mom, slow and steady wins the race. Mm-hmm. From my pop, people are more important than money. And what I'm aiming for, make me a channel of your peace and be still and know that I am God. So, Helen, thank you very much for
Helen.
that.
I love Helen. That's Marty's motto. Slow and steady wins the race.
Is it really?
He loves it. Yeah.
Barb, who listens on Real Presence Radio, she emailed take2@EWTN.com. Sometimes you have to build your wings on the way down.
Whoa. Say that again.
Sometimes you have to build your wings on the way down.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, that's wow. We got some powerful ones coming in. Can we go? Do you want to read some more, or can we go back?
Sure. No,
I'm super excited.
Back to the calls. Yeah.
I want to go down to the last 10 seconds, Jerry. I think I'm ready for this today. Okay, Jerry in Cleveland, Ohio, listening on The Rock. Hi, Jerry. Welcome to Take Two.
Hi. I just enjoying this so much. While I've been on hold, I've been really, really enjoying this. Well, first of all, my little Italian grandmother used to say, the little old lady never wanted to die because she knew she was going to learn a new thing every day. So that was hers. My dad used to say, it takes all kinds of individuals with all kinds of various talents to make this world spin. And then my mom used to say, when it comes to raising children and when it comes to trying to teach them morals, they not only have to be taught it, they need to be caught in it. And then, of course, to treat others as you would like others to treat you, which is someone already
the golden
said
rule.
it.
Yeah.
But that's what I got.
What's yours, Jerry? Since you have a family legacy of Maxims.
Me?
Yeah.
My life runs on Murphy's Law.
I love it. I see. This is great, though. But see, you see how you remember that? You know, our parents had such a great way of imparting these wonderful statements to us.
Yes.
At the time, probably when we were children, we would roll our eyes and say, "Okay, stop it already." But then they all were true. You know, so
well. I don't know. I was kind of different as a kid. I actually really, really respected it. Really took it seriously. I really did. Nice. You know, I was very, very blessed to come. My family of origin was just so terrific, and I just thought that, you know, I was just so lucky to get these pearls of wisdom, and I really wanted to emulate them. I mean, and of course the love that my parents had for each other was so beautiful. It was such a witness to me every day, and you know, my grandparents, my maternal grandparents lived with us, so I learned so much from them. I mean, and they were just so gentle and so sweet to each other too. Their marriage was beautiful as well. So, you know, when you grow up with that, it just, again, you have to be caught in it, like my mom said, right. You know, and it really just inspired me. I thank God to this day.
Yeah, Jerry, it's coming through loud and clear how much you love your family. It's coming through, and that's beautiful.
Well, I thank God to this day for allowing me. You know, they're all gone now. I miss them terribly. I talk to them and pray to them all the time. My dad died very young, only 59, from the flu, and he had a shot that year. And my mom just passed in 2016. So, you know, that's pretty raw still, you know.
Can we get their first names, Jerry, if you don't mind? Debbie keeps a book of names of living and deceased. Do you mind if could you impart their first names to us? We'll certainly add them to our book.
Sure. You have a couple of Italian names here.
Oh, yeah.
Eligio, Eligio.
Mm-hmm.
And Rosina.
Rosina. Got it. And I knew how to spell Eligio. See that? You would be proud of me.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Well, Jerry, thanks for the call. And gosh, Margaret and Peggy and Brenda and others that still have yet to be screened, we need to do this show again, Debbie, because there are just so many of you that we're not going to have time to get to. One thing I just love, though, Debbie, is the importance of family in so many of these, how these were imparted to our callers by parents and by relatives and family and friends. So way to go,
Family
everybody.
legacies, through the Maxims. I love it. Tomorrow is our first live broadcast of February, so it's dedicated to prayer. Who are you praying for? You share it, we'll pray by the end of the show, and we'll all continue to pray as a Take Two family. I love tomorrow's show, Jerry. I can't wait for it.
Well, and Haas on Facebook, I've heard this before. I love it. He says, God gave you one mouth and two ears for a reason, to listen more than you speak. So, Haas, thank you so much. Yeah, until tomorrow when we find out who you're praying for, and we'll join you praying for them. Have a beautiful and blessed day. Thanks so much.